Everybody. So I recently got married, and when I made my gift for my groomsmen, I wanted to give them a little bit of a fun presentation. So what I ended up doing is I got them this very funny pack of gum. I got them an engraved pocket knife, which is in here, and I made them each a hidden compartment book, which I put everything in. This one was actually my test, and it's a little bit rugged. The ones that I gave to them turned out much, much better. And today I'm going to show you how I did it. And the only reason I'm actually making this video is because I'm doing it a little bit differently than other folks have been doing it on the internet, and I thought you might be interested in my method. You know, when somebody says don't use a power tool, sometimes it's just because they haven't thought of the right power tool to use, and I think I did in this instance. What I used was an oscillating multi-tool like this. Now, the trick to using it to cut the book out, though, is to use the right cutter on it. But I got a really good idea, and I made my own, which is razor friggin' sharp. And I made this out of an old rusty blade that had dulled too much to actually cut wood or anything anymore, but I took it over my grinder, and I polished the front and the back, and I put a really good edge on this thing. So good, actually, you know, I can do the hair method just like if I had shaved, or if I had sharpened a chisel. It's incredibly sharp, and it does a really good job at cutting paper. So if you want to learn how to make this thing, I have a second video that I made just about making this tool, and I really suggest you check that out. Let's go ahead and go over exactly what you're going to need to make your hidden compartment book, or as I like to call it, the Rob Schneider, you put your weed in here book. You will want to find a book that you both don't care about destroying, and that's thick enough that when it's all said and done, you can cut out enough pages that it's going to hold what you want it to hold. Of course, I'm going to need my multi-tool, and I'm going to need either the rigid scraper cutter head or this homemade cutter head, and again, I really recommend you look at the video on that one. What we're also going to need for some fine trimming is an X-Acto knife. We're going to need some either yellow or white glue. We're also going to need something to mix the glue in, and we're going to need a little bit of water to mix it with. We want a paintbrush to apply the glue. We need a couple other things. We need basically, you don't need it, but I recommend it, have something like a block of wood to use as a template for your hole. So we'll just cut around that basically. We're going to need something to use as a backstop for the multi-tool. We're just going to put that between the pages like that, and when our cutter hits that, we know we're done. So basically we don't mar the pages on the other side of it. Let's see here, what else do we need? Oh, we're going to use just a couple of scraps of wood. I got a couple of little pieces of plywood here that once everything is all glued up, we're just going to use these as cauls to clamp down our book so it dries nice and flat. Oh, and last but not least, we're going to use wax paper between the pages to prevent the front, which should open, from sticking to the back, which will be all glued together. We obviously want to be able to open this after it's all said and done, and wood glue and white Elmer's glue like that won't stick all that much to wax paper, so that's why I'm using that in this instance. All right, let's go ahead and get started. First things first, clear our space here a little bit, and we want to find a place in this book that is both a nice spot to start cutting and will leave us with plenty of room to fit our stuff when it's all said and done. Now, I'm about, what, 18, we'll just go ahead and make it an even 20. We're 20 pages in. We're going to start cutting there, and why don't we leave just another 20 pages on the other side. And what we're going to do is take this scrap piece of wood. Now, I have a piece of hardboard here just because, as you can see, I've got a lot of scrap junk around my shed, and this is the perfect thing. You could use a piece of wood, you could use a piece of glass possibly, a piece of scrap metal, anything that's somewhat thin that you can fit between the pages like so. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to try and clamp this down to a work surface. Oh, and hey, you need clamps. I think I forgot to tell you that. What we're going to try and do is clamp this down such that the pages are reasonably straight on the edges, okay? What I'm going to do first is I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and just kind of cut out a template around the wood block, alright? Alright, so now I've got a nice, fairly crisp line there that I can follow with this thing. So let's go ahead and get started. So basically all we really need this for anymore is to possibly free up corners where we didn't get in with the multi-tool. Alright, what we're going to do is mix up some glue. Now, I've got white Elmer's glue right here. I'm just going to squirt a little bit of that in here. Alright. That's more than enough for what I'm doing. And I'm going to take just a tiny bit of water. Like, not, yeah, like that. Just, we want to thin this glue down just a little bit, okay? And I think I might have left this out of my stuff you'll need, but you do need something that you can mix that glue up with. And for that reason, I keep these random little wood strips around just for special occasions such as this one. Alright, and basically, we just want to thin this glue out, mix it up nice and good so it looks consistent. Now what we're going to do is take our book, take a piece of wax paper, and stick it between the pages that we don't want to stick together. Remember, we want our book to open right here. So the pages on top need to stick together, the pages on the bottom need to stick together, but they cannot stick to each other. That's pretty much imperative. I'm going to take a piece of this and keep it on top, and I'm going to keep a piece of this and keep it on the bottom. Otherwise, obviously, if we're using wood glue and we're using wood cauls, we could have some things sticking where we don't want things to stick. So there we go. We've got our 3 pieces of wax paper kind of where we want them. We're going to go ahead and spread the glue. You want to be careful, basically, just to keep this where you want it. You don't want a lot of it on the cover, obviously. We're going to slap it between these 2 cauls, like I said, with wax paper between everything. Take your clamps and clamp. That's pretty much it right there. We're going to let that dry overnight, and I'll check it tomorrow, and we'll see how we did. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and call this project done. There we go. Can open it up. We've got a nice big storage compartment right on the inside of this book. It's going to fit everything that I need to put in it. Well, anyway, if you find a better method to do this, I'm all ears, but I think this method worked very good, especially with the custom cutting tool that I made. So, once again, I encourage you to check that video out, learn how to make this custom blade that I used to cut this book out, and well, I hope you watch my other videos too. They're a lot of fun. Alright, well, thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.